Can I have a motion to end executive session?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Chris, could you call the roll, please? Motion passes 5-0. Have a motion to adjourn
So
the
moved.
meeting.
Second.
It's been seconded. Is there any, never mind. Let's go ahead and call for the roll. Okay, that executive session and that part of the meeting has been adjourned. At this point, just bear with us. We got to start the next meeting. Okay, everybody can join. Everybody in? While everybody's getting in, I'd like to apologize. We're running a few minutes late. We did have an executive session early. It's a separate meeting, so we had to do an adjournment and start back over. So everybody's just got to get back on line. Okay, at this point, Chris, would you call the roll?
Mrs. Detzel?
Here.
Mr. Harlow?
Here.
Mr. Heather? Here. Mr. Engel?
Here.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, all of you have received a copy of the meeting minutes for January 23rd. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any additions, corrections? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0. At this point, we'll go to Michael with a legislative update.
Oh, thank you. The governor released the blueprint for his next biennial budget. It calls for an overall increase of $280 million in school funding, which may sound like a lot, but it's about a $10 billion operation across the state of Ohio. It's like, basically works up to like a 1% increase one year and another 1% the next. And they're tweaking some things about minimum transportation subsidies and a lot of other things one of the things that they did too is keep the basic per pupil funding the same, which sounds like it's not a raise, but it actually helps a lot of the public school districts because there'll be weighted funding on top of that, and it actually holds in the same place the community school deduction. So because the base funding didn't change, so that's a positive as well. We're far from over on this budget. The House and the Senate will get a crack at it as well, which is one reason why I'm not going into a whole lot of detail now, because things will change as we go down the line.
Okay.
Michael, I got a question
Sure.
for you. According to the Inquirer, Northwest was one of the districts that had no change with the new budget from the governor. At least that's what I saw on. Is that true?
I think that's pretty much true. A lot of times simulations don't catch everything, but yeah, we're not going to see any massive changes in either direction, just because, when you're dealing with percentages like that, there's just not a whole lot of room for change. And the legislature will tweak formulas as well, too, so we'll be.
At least it
we'll
wasn't
probably
cut.
come up, yeah, exactly. At least we aren't cutting anymore. That's important.
Thanks, Michael. Okay, I believe, do we have a Butler Tech report? That's next, okay. We have a student achievement report. Bob, did you want to introduce, or?
We have, tonight we have a group from our middle schools that are going to present on a C-STEM program. It is part of a straight A grant we received. I believe Leslie Silbernagel, who helped kind of lead the charge around C-STEM, and the straight A grant is going to introduce that, and the kids are going to take over.
Awesome.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. Tonight we're going to have students from all three of our middle schools presenting to you on our C-STEM program, which is part of our Applied Mathematics class. Before the students present, I want to introduce our teachers. So if they would step forward, I'm going to call their name. From Pleasant Run Middle, we have Audrey Schmidlin. From White Oak Middle, we have Scott Fortcamp. And from Collery Middle, we have Julie Metzner. These three teachers were hand have just embraced the program and done a wonderful job this year. So I cannot personally thank them enough for just their hard work and enthusiasm this year. I think you're going to see what the kids speak about speaks to the hard work that they put forward. In addition, we have Heather Kidd here tonight. She'll speak after the students present. She's our math instructional specialist, and she will speak to, she also went through the training. I'll probably liked it more than anyone, because that's right up her alley. But she'll speak to some of the gains that we're seeing even in just a semester. We're seeing some progress made by our students, and so she'll speak to that a little bit. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Audrey, and each of the teachers will introduce their students, and kind of some of us have a team here, which is awesome, and let them present, tell you what CSTEM's all about.
Okay, so right now we are going to talk about what CSTEM is and what we've been doing in our classes. And this is Sean Warner, who will be explaining that and kind of what he wants to do with this kind of program in the future to help him out with computer programming.
So, and CSTEM is coding, science, technology, and mathematics for me. And we, in this Shirley's class, we've been discussing, so we've been going, so we've been getting books, so we've been a code on the board, and we have to do that, so put that to type, and then we'll have to make our robots do that. And I, for myself, have done a project and was finished with it and started with it before anybody else in class.
Nice.
And it was a hard time to do because
Very challenging work.
it's very challenging, but I was able to get over that and get everything done. And then I have another project to do, and that was not as stressful, but it was been pretty challenging still. And I want to use CSTEM and coding, like in the future to help me, because I would like to be an engineer and a marine biologist, and I would like to code, make my own robots and code them to help me in the water with like all the sea animals and sea creatures that need help. Be like my father and do engineering and use the robot to my demise to help me with all my projects and further future.
Nice. Hey, John.
You guys hit the mic button on that. Thanks.
The team I brought with me tonight from White Oak, we are going to demonstrate a program that we use typically over a week period in our applied math class. The team I have is Chris Weldon, Kaden Schroyer, Gary Rohr, Alan Barlow, Cameron Hagenkamp, and my co-teacher, Kim Fry. So I will let them go ahead and start explaining what we do. Chris, Haley, Kaden, go ahead. While the boys get that set up. Stay, you can stay on this. We can stay here.
There's a microphone, that way the TV will pick it up.
All right, go ahead.
There's only 20,000 viewers, don't worry.
Nice, Todd.
So this is the program we have for today's whatever you want to call it, presentation. Yeah. So this is an overview of the program. It includes a link plot and a scatter plot. A scatter plot is a graph, which the graph movement of the bot when the bot moves forward or backwards. And then the parts of the link plot will be a different radius wheel, which there's a 1.75-inch wheel and a 2-inch radius wheel. The stabilizer will keep it from rolling over.
Go kids. Go ahead.
This is the robot, and this is the 2 radius wheel, and this is the 1.75 radius wheel. And this is the stabilizer. It helps it from like not falling over and stuff. And we clip them on with these little clips on the sides. with these little clips, and it clips them to it clips like the wheels and stuff to the robots, and
Good. Pass it around.
So now the user will choose two different distances to travel in speeds. Positive distances, which means speeds will represent forward movement. Negative distance, speed will represent backward movement. After the LinkBot moves a distance first time, graph will show movement. After we get it on.
We'll point out some points of the program that was generated.
So if you look up at the beginning, right up with the kind of green text, the include part is where you take the bot and it kind of like puts it into the program. And then down where it's pink, where it says LinkBot I, is where we name our robot. We named ours Bob. And then for cplot, it includes the plot so we can see the graph. For the double is we kind of like declare our variables. So we have speed 1 and speed 2, which we will have like someone say, like the user input part. The radius of the wheels, which is the 1.75, which are the smaller ones. Then we have our distance 1 and distance 2, which is like the speed 1 and 2. And then the time interval is 0.2, so every 0.2 of a second we will record data and put it up on the graph.
So the printf is where they ask, like the person or the computer can ask a question, and then the scanf is where you can the user input can answer it, and it'll ask you like you can answer with numbers, or like if you have something you can answer it with like words.
Alright, so these are the bob.reset to 0. That's where the commands start for Bob. So it's going to reset the wheels to 0, and then the set speed, which will be determined by the user. And then it's going to start, when the record distance begins, it's going to start recording the distance. And then it's going to ask you for the distance, speed, and distance again. And then it's going to hit distance end, which means it's going to stop recording all the distance is, and then going to pull up the plot.
And then so when it says bob.record distance, or sorry, we didn't spell that. The plot.title is where we kind of like label the plot, which is distance versus time. Then our plot.label is where we label the x-axis and the y-axis, which is time in seconds and distance in inches. Then the plot.scattered, it plots the points. And then plot.plotting is where it all makes it show up.
So now we'll go ahead and demonstrate. Board, you ready? Yes. So the computer will ask us how far would you like Bob to travel first. We have the distance from -10 to +10. We'll put 8 inches. How fast would you like Bob to travel? -5 to 5. We'll put 4. The second distance we'll put a negative number. So we'll put -8 or -5 is fine. And we'll put a positive speed of 1 inch per second. Then we'll go ahead and run the program. The robot will move. And we'll have a graph generated of the movement. You guys want to explain the graph?
Yeah. So, in the earlier, like when you were writing the program, it would record data every 0.2 of a second, and as it does here, it'll be 5 points per second, so that'd be 10 for every 2 seconds. So when it's going up, it's representing a positive motion, and when it's going down, it's representing a negative motion, which is going backwards.
And then the x-axis is the time in seconds, and the y-axis is distance in inches.
Are there any questions?
I do have a question. I do have a question. What programming language is that written in?
CH.
C. Okay, great, thank you. Well, This is
Nice
this is
job.
outstanding work. And, really glad to see the hard work of everybody paying off.
All right. With me tonight, I have two of my students. I have sixth grader Brayden and seventh grader Carolyn. They're going to talk about the impact that C-STEM has had on them so far. Brayden, you want to go first?
Robots and programming impacted me because I got to learn new programs like drive distance, track width, turn right or left, set LED color, and play melody. I also learned new websites to get on to help me. It has opened up new careers for the future. I want to be a video game designer because I like video games and how they are programmed.
Nice.
C-STEM has helped me like explore more of the gaming side than what I actually knew existed. And like I would like learn how to like program in that and what's behind the games. Cause like I just thought that like you just like build stuff and then you apply it. I didn't know you had to like add in like the movements and all that. And also it's fun cause like about on like every Friday in school we would do like a robo play where we will be given a code and then we'll have to program it into CHID, and then we'll have to like run it and like after that I usually just like mess around with my own codes I've been working on.
I have a quick question. I know we have a future marine biologist and a future video game designer. What are you hoping to do?
Just kind of like make my own little video games and that.
Okay, you guys going to be competitors or work together here? And then what about the other kids? What are you hoping to do in the future? You guys can go right here. Yeah.
Well, actually, for my dream, I'm hoping of like becoming an animator and a computer animator. So I guess this could be part of programming, like certain motions I could use.
Nice.
Me personally, I've been doing that a long time. Has anyone here seen BattleBots?
We got one.
Cameraman in the back has.
Try to build one ourselves and hopefully compete.
Nice.
Nice.
And what about the other kids that,
Yeah, for a computer technician.
okay?
I want to like program cars and stuff.
Nice.
I want to be some type of professional sports athlete.
All right. There we go. Okay.
Okay. I don't want to talk too long and bore you with the numbers, but obviously, whenever we implement a new program, that's our hope is that it's going to help with the progress of our students. So we have actually seen very exciting, positive growth already this semester, and obviously we're only one semester in. We hope to see continued growth second semester. I just want you guys to know, if your teachers haven't already told you, that there's some exciting things happening, and we're super excited for you. We have seen positive change in their achievement and in their growth. So in achievement, we have seen 11% more of the kids that are going through the CSTEM program predicted to be proficient on this year's test. So that's a pretty large gain for one semester. Oftentimes when you implement a new program, you actually see a dip because everyone's trying to get used to the new system. And so for us to see positive already in the first semester is really exciting. And then the other thing is in their gain, it's in percentiles. So if you're not familiar, percentiles don't just mean like, oh, I went from a 50 to a 54, I got 4 points better. That actually means that you're higher than that percent of the population. So we've already seen a 5% increase, percentile increase. So that means that the kids are growing faster than their counterparts. And we did this data using the MAP assessment, which we give 3 times a year in the fall, winter, and spring.
and we have compared this to a control group from the district. So kids that are sitting in their same math class, but just aren't in the C-STEM program. We also used kids that had like past scores. So we're kind of comparing apples to apples here. So that's really all I have to say. I don't want to, like I said, I have pages of numbers if you want them, but I don't really think you want them.
How many kids currently do we have in the C-STEM program?
Oh, it's on here. Duh, I have that number in front of me. It is. It's over 300 and 328. And we compared them with 349 like students.
Nice. Great, and after the, how many viewers did you say we had?
20,000.
After tonight, it's going to double or triple how many kids
That's
are going to
right.
want to do this.
And we are excited, and we're hoping to continue to grow the program and to offer some training to our regular math teachers, not to incorporate it necessarily on large-scale full implementation, but, you know, seeing the math in movement, I think, really helps. And so just to be able to incorporate it on a small scale when needed.
And so, not to interrupt, but they have no other math class in their schedule.
No, they do.
And what is
They
the
have-
other math schedule, or the math class?
They're just their regular grade level math
And so
course.
when you guys finish with this and you go to your other math class, easier to have teacher-led instruction from the front of the room or the hands-on approach where you're using it and developing it yourself? And which is the whole purpose of the program.
Absolutely.
And then we hope to further their experience as they move on to the high school with David's program and Butler Tech or any other type of program that might be available to them by then.
Heather, can you also share, as part of the Straight A's D-STEM grant, the number of teachers that we have participating in Xavier University College math classes this year?
So as a second part of the grant was increased professional development for math teachers, and we reached out to math teachers that are teaching grades 3 through high school, because although these are middle school, obviously what they're doing in 3, 4, 5 is really leading up to that. And we have, it's dependent on the course, but we have anywhere from 25 to 28 teachers meeting weekly from 4:30 to 8:30 to get increased pedagogy and to be able to deal with the shifts in curriculum. You know, math has shifted down. They're being asked younger to do more involved things. And so our teachers have taken that on to kind of get more in-depth with their knowledge.
One follow-up to this, the reason we chose C-STEM for the Straight A grant, it came out of UC Davis in California. It's completely aligned to the math curriculum, so instead of just having a STEM robotics class, it's a STEM robotics class that's embedded with math content. So it's why we chose that. We're the first state outside of California to actually do this, and Leslie and Heather and the teachers who have been involved in this have done a fantastic job of collaborating with the people from California to make sure that this implementation went as smoothly as it did.
Nice job. Well, thank you. All of you did a great job. I know it's not easy sometimes speaking in front of a group of people, but all of you did a great job, so thank you for sharing, and we look forward to seeing you all in the future and all the different exciting things that you'll be doing. Thank you.
Wow.
Let him have the mic.
Tell you what, like me.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he is. Oh, no. He went in there 2 weeks ago. Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and move on. Jim, do you have a Butler Tech update?
Yeah, I do, Pam. I'm going to pass this out here to the board and to Todd. I have a student success report for January, and this is just the different things in the Butler Tech area that our students are involved in. And Todd, I would like to see if we can get this put on our website each month, if we can do that.
No problem.
It just to give you an example, just follow up with the middle schoolers there. You know, there was there's an article in here where the 7th graders at Butler Tech, the STEM program at Edgewood, they went to ThyssenKrupp, which is in Hamilton, and they did a tour. In what they do is they produce vehicle shocks, and it shows how they make them and go through the whole thing with the engineering part of it, and you know, just stuff like that to get kids involved in the science end of it. You know, I think that's something, you know, maybe these guys would be interested in something like that, you know, a field trip to a company and then just how they start out designing something and get to a finished product. Yeah, there's just a whole list of different things that the students through Butler Tech, what they accomplish and what they get to do. Our cosmetology opening made it. Yeah, the cosmetology there over at Northwest. It was, it tells how, Rob Portman came, he was there for about an hour and 20 minutes up at the Bioscience building, getting a tour and seeing what we all do there, and it was, it's a good thing. And then, just one other thing, I just wanted to, Peter Clark's class over at Northwest, the BPA, are sending 19 kids to the state, for the state competition, which is a huge amount of kids. And other than that, that's it.
And I don't want to step on your toes, but I talked to Peter just out of curiosity because when we were over there,
Yeah.
it was Colerain, Northwest, Wyoming, Three River, or Taylor, and then Scarlet Oaks. And I said, well, how does our area compare? Just like in track, how does our area in Southwest Ohio compare? This is one of the toughest regions there is. So for
Yeah.
our 19 to get out, it's huge. Everybody else kind of worries about us as we come forward. So
Yeah.
it's good to hear.
Okay.
Anyway, each month, we'll all have these, so we'll get them, you know, each month.
Yeah, and if we, we'll find out who does them and puts them on print net, and then we can get the originals and put them on our website. It'll look just like
Yeah.
new.
Yeah, I'm not sure who does.
And maybe we even need to add a Butler Tech page to the front website, and we're still looking at it and growing, so.
Yeah.
Okay. At this point, we'll move into reports for employee organizations. Are there any certificated or licensed employees? Classified? Reports from any school-related organizations? I have not received any requests for community comments. So we'll move in to Todd.
Okay, the first item is a certificated licensed personnel item, certificated licensed personnel retirements and resignation. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments regarding the certificated or licensed personnel retirements and resignations? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a classified personnel item. It is classified retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments regarding classified retirements or resignations? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a fiscal item, vendor contracts, in compliance with ORC 3313.33. Attached is a list of vendor contracts requiring board authorization. Superintendent and Treasurer recommend the Board of Education authorize the vendor contracts as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions on the vendor contracts? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is also a fiscal item, then and now certificates over $3,000. ORC Section 5705.41 states in part that no subdivision shall make any contract or give any order involving the expenditure of money unless there is an attached thereto a certificate by the treasurer. Then and now certificates by the treasurer issued over $3,000 must be authorized by the Board of Education. Superintendent and Treasurer recommend the Board of Education authorize the payments over $3,000 requiring a then and now certificate as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Questions regarding the then and now certificates? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is a certificated licensed personnel item. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel items as listed.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded on the certificated and licensed personnel item. Are there any questions? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is a classified personnel item. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions regarding classified personnel items? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is curriculum and instruction. These are out-of-state and extended field trip requests. White Oak Middle School is requesting permission to take 30 student council students to Camp Campbell Guard from May 11th through May 12th. 1.5 days of instruction will be missed. Colerain High School and Northwest High School are requesting permission to take 20 students to a leadership conference on February 14th in Covington, Kentucky. 1 day of school will be missed. And then the Colerain High School Band is requesting permission to take 25 students from Winter Guard and indoor percussion to compete in the following competitions. 1 in Campbell County, 1 at Conner High School, 1 in Northern Kentucky, 1 in Western Kentucky. No school will be missed by any of the band competition. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the out-of-state and extended field trips as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any questions or comments?
Hey, Todd, on the Western Kentucky, is that truly Western Kentucky, or, because when I looked at it, their times, they're leaving the school, and then they're arriving at Western Kentucky a half an hour after they leave the school. Sure it's not Northern Kentucky?
Daryl approves those.
They listed it as Western Kentucky, so I'm assuming that the times are probably wrong. Because that one's an overnight.
Oh, is it? Yeah, okay.
That's overnight, so it's gonna take longer to get there.
Yeah, I think what they did was they attached the same time frames that they had for Northern Kentucky to the Western Kentucky.
No, that's an overnight, that's actually
Right.
Western Kentucky.
Okay.
The only other thing I would just like to, as always, especially the kids from White Oak Middle and the 2 high schools that are sending their kids to leadership, that we could have them in here, or at least a couple of them to just let us know what they experienced. But I always think any type of leadership conferences for kids at any age is a great thing, and it's nice to hear from them. Okay, anybody else? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next items are for information and/or discussion. The first item is general business. It is the Laura Linda Walkway. The agenda item is for discussion of a request by community members to close or tear down the walkway on Laura Linda Drive connecting the 2 neighborhoods. We have our attorney, Kevin Maloff, here for you if you have any questions. But we have followed all of the outlines that were listed in the agreement that gave the original bridge of Laura Linda to us. The first thing we were to do is offer it to the 2 landowners, and they have said they do not want the land. So our next option is to keep the bridge as is. Keep in contact with Colerain Township. We went out with Dan Malloy and Jeff Mills, Chris McKee, Amy Wells, and myself. We looked at the bridge. It is solid. It is in great shape. The fencing around the bridge is very safe and secure. There was garbage in the creek going up and down, but we don't know if that's from high waters and it flowing down back and forth. We did see students sitting on the corner as we pulled up to the bridge, and we did see students on the other side that were headed toward it as we were pulling away. So I see no reason to tear the bridge down or recommend that the district spend 10, 15, 20,000, whatever it would be. So our recommendation is, per our attorney, the bridge stays in place. The school district has decided to keep it for now and allow it to be used as intended. If correct, there is nothing that the school district needs to do at this time, as long as it is used for the purpose that it was set forth. Chris, Kevin, anything you'd like to add? Any questions?
see no reason for us to tear down something that's being used. You already said that there were students getting ready to cross it when you were pulling away. And we've had other people come here and say that they use it, and, you know. I don't know why we tear it down.
Was there a further discussion with the, when you met with the administrator, was there anything about, crime or perception of crime? I know a couple meetings ago it seemed like.
Well, we referenced Dan Malloy. It was Chief Denny who said.
Okay.
And so Dan Malloy is going to take police officers, canvass the neighborhood one Saturday, get feedback on the bridge. They've done that for a couple other locations. And Chief Denny still says if there's a problem there, they go, they address it. But there is nothing that they are aware that's any more pertinent than anything else. So last time we said we talked to Dan Malloy, it really wasn't Dan Malloy, it was Chris talked to Mark Denny, Chief of Police. And then, like I said, we went out with Jeff and Dan. They both agreed there's nothing wrong with the bridge. If you get down to whenever we're going to sell that property, which we're going to do. So when schools open in 2018, that property is going for sale. Whoever buys that property gets the bridge. The other thing that could happen is the township, if I'm correct, Kevin, could take over the property on its own if they want it. But again, no reason for us. We're selling the property. We're going to get rid of it in a year and a half as soon as we transition Houston over here, and then that site will be demolished. So.
I appreciate that all of you, Todd, Chris, I think Amy went to, the pictures to give us a visual of.
We can put those up there if you want.
Yeah, I want to see that. Where does it show? It's obviously the neighborhood here. Where is the school at? The school property?
Nowhere near.
Down into the left.
Down and to the left, about quarter mile.
Quarter to a half mile away.
It was originally the folks Ryan Holmes, who built the subdivisions. It was just a connector to go back and forth between the subdivisions.
And they gave that to our district.
As long as we kept the school site.
You know where that the driveway goes out into, out of the back end to Houston? There's a gate there.
Yeah.
It goes right onto that street.
There it is in,
Off of here.
yeah, there it is in
Okay.
blue,
Right.
connecting
Yeah,
the
I see
two
that in blue,
subdivisions.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I was just thinking, the school's pretty far away from that particular area. Okay. And if we talked to the neighbors that are around here, are they here tonight? Do they have any questions? Should we answer?
We can bring that up when it comes to the,
When we come to the community communications, then we can bring it
yeah,
up.
at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions up here? Okay.
I'll wait till Chris gets caught up,
Okay.
since we made her show the picture.
Good. Okay.
Password. All right, here we go. The next general business item is fiscal year 17 summer permanent improvement project. Chris is currently working on bid documents and resolutions that will be presented to you for information and approval at the February 27th board meeting. Bid documents will be used for any project over $25,000 per board policy. I have examples of the bid documents available, or he will have them on the February 27th board meeting if you would like to see them. Due to the current state of our master facility plan, we are limiting our summer permanent improvement projects for this year. The following is the project outside of our master facility project for this fiscal year. Colerain High School track replacement. The engineering is $16,280. Estimated project cost $270,000 if you round up. Project contingency $25,000. So total estimated $310,000. I know that Darren is currently working with Brad Watkins at Northwest to house their main track meet over there. So they're working on that. I know Northwest is not equipped for that to occur, so we're going to have to work with Chris in maintenance to move hurdles over to move the high jump pit over or anything else that we knew, which is all doable.
You know, and the pole vault can stay at Colerain.
Yes, it could. Field
Yeah,
event, that field
I
event
mean,
could stay there,
that
yes.
That can stay
Exactly.
there.
We just have to work around scheduling to make sure a kid wasn't in double events on qualification day.
Right.
But that's going to work out fine. It's actually the same thing that Northwest had to do when their track was getting done. So we want to get it in shape so it'll be good to go for the next season. You're also, it's that fine line of balancing between practice when the track's tore up, moving back and forth from the turf for the sports and everything else. So.
The bid for the track, is that tearing the whole track up? That's not just putting a couple of layers over what's down there now, that's tearing it completely up?
Well, that's actually taking off the surfaces there, and then milling down about a inch and a half, and then resurfacing.
And that's all of the surface, everything, high jump, pole vault, long jump, all of that.
And if people are wondering why this cost more than Northwest, Northwest did not have enough money to do the entire area and turf, so, and it's a little smaller, I believe, so the price is a little more.
They're both 7 lanes, but all we did at Northwest was just
So even at Northwest, they went down to a base because there's no reason to dig the entire base up, and then they'll cover it with paving. And then they let it sit for a while, and then they walk it to make sure there's no puddles. When we walked to Northwest, we found that there was a pipe broke underneath, and that's why they wait and let it cure, because water started to swell, so we caught that before it went. So they'll do the same thing at Colerain. Very similar to when I was business director about 4 years ago, and they got the sinkhole in the turf at Colerain, down by the home stand on about the 20-yard line. Pipe had bust, so that's why they will keep that same surface, because they know it's already settled, add a little paving to it, and it'll be entirely new track surface. Any other questions? It's information only.
Okay.
And like Chris said, if you would like to see the bid books, he's got them. Just let him know and you can pick them up. The next item is a presentation for information, and it will be by Megan Skanska and SHP. I'm not sure who all's speaking, but I know Pete's going to start.
Good evening.
Looks like.
Sorry for the font problem. When I did the PowerPoint, we had a nice font in there, and somehow, I guess our computers at work are different fonts than everybody else's computer in the world, so we got this jacked up font, and it looks sort of neat, though. So anyway, what tonight is an update, right? Where we are, where we were back in October, November, where we are today. Last week, we turned in the GMP to Chris and Todd and Amy and Kevin. Sort of got through the hard process of putting the guaranteed number on the job for where we are with the 3 elementaries. And so tonight's sort of like going back, giving an update from when we started, quick update on construction and since groundbreaking, sort of give you an update where we are in the budget, because at the end of the day, we're tracking the GMP is for the elementary projects, but we're also tracking the whole project, and we've been doing through the different design stages and estimate and deliverables. We're going to talk a little bit about the submission, review, the approval process, and obviously the timeline. So tonight's information only. I think it's good news, and we're excited. So, back in December, we did our groundbreaking in October, late October, early November. We had great results in the month of November. Really, by early December, we were sitting with our building pads ready on all 3 elementary sites. And then the rains came. And then one day in January, it snowed. So pretty much December, January, we didn't get a whole lot of work done on site because the rains came and then it snowed. But then, once we got a little break in February, we got some temperatures up in the 40s. We had some dry spells. We went in and we started modifying the dirt. We started mixing lime in areas, cement. You saw a lot of trucks out there. It was a little crazy. But that started letting us get our building pads ready to where they can handle truckloads. We started getting pipe delivered to where we can work the sites as we dried them up. We go to Struble. Obviously a wet December. Struble was a little bit behind with the other projects because we were dealing with some sewer relocation work first. Then it snowed there too. And at the end of the day, right now, that's the lower level building pad ready for footings and concrete.
It's been pretty wet. We've been having a lot of rain, but by this process we've accounted for in the early site package, really it lets us work without delays when we go to start foundations and structure. And it rained also at Taylor, and it still snowed there on that one day at Taylor in January. But right now, oops, let me go back, hit the button to me. Yeah, right now that's that north parking lot up near the transportation. So we put it on grade for the future parking lot. We stabilized it, we put the stone in, and now we're ready to start working off of that as we build the buildings. So pretty much where we're at. So where are we at with the GMP? You know, at the end of the day, working with Mike and Jerry, the SHP team and the district, you know, you think about when we started, our goal was to get GMP done and get the job on the street before the holidays. We got the job on the street before the holidays. We hit the market at the right time, had an extreme amount of numbers of bidders on it. But at the end of the day, the light blue is where we approved the DD estimate. And we came in and said, we want chilled beams, we want big gyms, we want wood floors, you know, we want the open ELA areas with the glass operable walls, the teaching, the perfect educational environment. You know, we worked through the process with the district and the teachers and all the administrative staff. Mike and his team worked closely with the pre-construction team. So really, the GMP, we're right on budget. You know, there's a little deltas. PRE is up a little bit, but then Struble and Taylor are down to offset it. You know, the light blue up at the top is the total project, so we're still holding money for the renovations that we called Priority 1 and Priority 2. White Oak Middle School, we're actually looking to get the air conditioning design docs, I think, next Friday, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
So we're on track for that. And as we evaluate this process, then we start diving into Colerain High School, air conditioning projects, and then we're evaluating that as we go. But on budget, the GMP's on budget. We're willing to guarantee it for the budget, and that's a good story because there's a lot of stories around the region that hasn't been the case. And this is our second successful GMP on budget in a district on elementary schools in a row, so we're pretty proud of that. So what did we do back when we started the process? You know, 3 identical schools, right? So there's been some conversation. What's the bulk savings? You know, if you bid 1, you bid 3. Well, back in SD, schematic design, when we did the estimate, I went back and I looked at our pre-construction law. We were dealing with budget issues at schematic design, and we made a pact as a group with our people that says, you know what, we think there should be a savings. So we put our money where our mouth was at the SD estimate. We said we think we'd like to get $600 grand out of the job for buying all 3 identical buildings. That came to fruition in the GMP. Another big thing that's exciting is right now we've been carrying and talking about potential funding sources through a couple avenues for the project. When we did the DD, design development estimate that you approved back, I want to say November, December timeline, we really were banking on that to stay on budget. But right now, we're on budget, and we haven't touched that money. So it's a funding source that's out there. So what is that? The Duke rebates are 2 parts. It involves HVAC and the electrical side. On the HVAC, it's worth about $60,000 per building. Multiply that out. You know, but what does that include? That picks up the cost for the chilled beams with a 10-year payback. It picks up the cost for a high-efficient chiller. You know, what isn't accounted for is that when you made decisions back on chilled beams and efficiencies, you know, the lower maintenance costs and the life cycle costs for utilities really doesn't even show up yet over the life of your building. It also, on the LED lighting, you know, it's about 80 grand a building. So add the 2 together and we start seeing some real value. You know, and we're working closely with the tech department and Chris and the team, but you know, the government funded E-rate program is real dollars. You know, it mostly covers the network electronics, the wireless access points. I think there's some other equipment that we can try to package in there. But at the end of the day, that's worth about $189,000 building. Multiply that out, you add up the E-rate and Duke costs, you're looking at about $1 million in potential funding sources that could go back into the project to buy those list of alternates that we can either go down and prioritize with the district and the board and administration. So it's a good story. And what is the impact of that? Well, I went back to that bar and I added in the green. Originally, I had a different color, but it didn't reflect the dollar bill green, so we changed it real quick. So just putting those numbers in each building as additional funding becomes available between the Duke rebates and the E-rate funding, your valuation overall district of the project is about $1 million cheaper than your approved DD estimate. So that's sort of an exciting story. You know, the timeline for that funding source, you know, is you got to go through the processes and procedures, but it is real money. I think you guys use it on a lot of your projects. We're using it on Fairfield, and you know, the payback is there. It's just the money originally was in, we were counting on it to be on budget. So the light blue 85 million, we were actually counting on that close to $1 million to hit that 85 million number in a light blue. The true reality is the darker blue, without the funding, we hit that 85.7. If you realize the savings of the potential E-rate, you could be at the 84.8. So that's a great story. And administration, working with our design partners, and we're excited to tell that story and live it down to the end. So what happens next? You know, we're working real closely right now with some of the local businesses. They're going through our pre-qualification process. You know, we're trying to get them into the project. It ranges from paving to concrete, network technology, building signage, a couple others that are in there. And we check financial capacity, their safety record, the current workload they have, what's your bonding capacity of your company. You know, we want to make sure if we're signing them up, they're financially able to hold their end of the deal and, you know, not be able to go down it. It also checks Ohio background checks, so like Ohio, state of Ohio, you know, items like debarment, federal debarments, stuff like that. So what's next? You know, basically, tonight's just like sort of giving you an update where we're at. You know, we're going to meet with the advisory team on Wednesday morning and walk through it, get a little more into the details, but that happens on Wednesday. We just turned the GMP in last week, so we're going to work with Chris, Todd, Amy, Kevin probably, and get through that process, because it's a, you know, it's a big number where there's a lot of, heck, it's like what, 300 pages. So and then we're going to come back here on the 27th and then hopefully be in a position to go for board approval. So at the end of the day, what does that mean? That means we're anticipating permit March 17. We've always said we want to start footings in concrete in March of 2017, so right now we're on track for that. And bottom line, the end date, open class in August 18 is right where we're tracking. So we're hitting all our dates we talked about, we planned for, going back looking at schedules, and we're excited, and thanks for giving me a few minutes tonight. Mike's team have done a great job, and we love telling good stories, yeah, so that's it.
I'd also like to add on, I told him to come up here and put his Superman cape on and beat his chest, but I'll do it for him. But the three we have here tonight, it all goes back to when the board, Chris and Pam, were sitting on the committee and we chose these guys. When I go to superintendent's meeting, I'm constantly being asked, how is design built? And the horror stories I hear is other architects are arguing with the construction people, and they're telling you, no, the cost is this, the cost is this, where this takes care of that aspect because they work together. Now, I'm not going to say they don't hit each other every once in a while. But when you look at close to $1 million in savings, we're trying to save every penny we can, because we've already got on the books, just so folks know, full air conditioning at White Oak Middle School by the start of next school year. And you can tell people. Colerain High School is next after that, and then that will leave Pleasant Run Middle School. So we're looking at changing the windows, putting things that are in there that will secure the air and so on and so forth. But every penny we can save just adds to not only building 3 new schools, but remember there was also an additional $10 million funds and permanent improvements that we needed to do. So this has allowed us to do this. So to get these bids come in like they are, plus all the rebates that are on top of there, I have been impressed. We are working with local businesses, and even if they don't get the initial bid because the project's too big, they're going back and getting smaller parts, or they're trying to work with them to get smaller parts. We've got the same person, it looks like, doing some of our projects that's done other business, so if it works out and all the checks come in and the balances, we're good to go. But it's just, this is a good day.
Those slides are looking more and more promising, huh?
Except for the font.
No, slide.
Slide,
Oh,
the slide.
yeah. Well, I'm not getting in the middle of that. Bob's sitting between them. When I said,
I just want to go down first.
I didn't realize the slide was that expensive. Are you putting out there, Pete? It's a done deal.
Yeah,
It's good. Any questions or?
I don't think so.
No, thanks, Pete. Great job.
Looking forward to it.
I believe I'm next with the superintendent's update. So first of all, I would like to congratulate Pam, I believe as we did Chris last year. Pam is the 20-year anniversary recognition for a board member. So there is a annual spring conference on March 14th at Warren County Career Center in Lebanon. So if anybody would like to go, just let me know, and we will go up there. Either way, if you can't, I know you couldn't, we took pictures, sent that all up, still was presented. We'll do the same thing again this year. So congratulations. And there's Pam. And then lastly, I want to talk a little bit about a grant opportunity. If you remember, we have been talking about Banning Road forever. And one of the best partnerships we've started to develop that Chris and Amy and I feel is with Jeff Milts and Dan Malloy. So we have always been worried that it could be anywhere from $200,000 to $800,000 at that intersection of Banning and Colerain Avenue. So for the folks in the audience, as you're coming up Banning to Colerain from Struble, we need another turn lane in there to go to the right and left, so we need to add a lane. So we went into an agreement with the township that we would lock our dollars at $350,000 each, and then we would do our best, is what we promised the community and the public, to find grants to work on this. Well, we have now found a safety grant opportunity. There's a state and a federal. It can go up to $499,000. We have met with the folks from the state, and Chris and Amy, if I forget something, let me know. But we have met with them. We have started the process of getting with Kleiningers so we can get the format broken down on what it'll look like. By going with the state, you don't have the same qualifications you do as a federal, so the money can get here quicker. And you think a year and a half is not a lot of, it's a long time to get this done. A year and a half is really pushing it just to get that turn lane done prior to school starting at Struble. So this grant is up to $499,000. It would cut our cost $250. It would cost the town, cut the township $250. That's $250 more we can put back into the schools. Jeff is really taking the lead on this. We have 20 pages of emails that we're going back and forth with the lady from the state, and she is phenomenal. Works for ODOT. She's doing everything we need to do. We should have the application in place in about a month, and then we'll find out quickly after that. But my point of telling you is we're trying to recoup our money, just like we said we would. The township is a great partner for this, and it's worked out very well. So.
Great.
Do we have to purchase land from the gas? I just brought this up on Google Street View. Do we have to purchase land from the gas stations?
We have to talk to the biggest thing with the gas station, believe it or not, the land purchase is easy. It's the soil test, because there's usually soil issues around tanks and that. So yes, we have to do that. Remember, we still have the agreement with CMHA where we can use the side exit that goes out of there, so they'll be involved in that negotiation. But we're keeping Kevin right where he is for now, but we're letting Kevin know when we need you, we'll be calling him to make sure we push this through.
Do we need to do anything on Banning coming the other way, like coming up around there by the bank?
No. The other thing that Hamilton County is having a hard time with is we control starting times for all 3 new schools. So we've had some conversation. They're wanting to push, and Jim and Pam, this is almost in your backyard. They want a turning lane to push from Crest to right on Pippin. Well, we can have both schools, the 2:20 for the middle school. We can probably dismiss the elementary at 3:15 at the latest, and the rush hour is 4 to 6, so we can be done completely with that. So we're doing everything we can to talk to the county to get them to understand we don't have to do something there either. Now, if you go back to Banning, what helps us with this grant is it's identified as a high traffic incident area. Not high enough or as much as others, but because it's high, that makes a better chance for us to get the grant. We're still looking at a traffic light down at Memory and Banning, but any money we can save, like I said, goes back into the school, so it's.
How
we
long
have
do
a-
you
There is a light at Memory and Banning.
They want a turning lane.
Oh, turning, okay.
Which would require.
And we
traffic
really
lights
don't,
at an arrow, right?
yeah, we really don't want to, because if you look at those folks' yards, their ditch is so close as it is, it would just take more and more space, so.
Yeah, I lived in the second house from the corner growing up.
And every time we drive by there, he tells me.
After he tells you about his employee of the month.
Oh, my gosh.
Again.
At least one of the things is true.
That's all I have.
And you got that, Chris? How long do you think it'll take for us to, they make decisions who gets the grants? Any idea?
Month for the application, we'll get, it has to be in 1 month, and then I would say we'll know by May or June, it sounded like.
Well, thanks to the way she acted, it was pretty quick.
Oh, good.
Don't have to jump through all the hoops, is the good thing, because it's
Yeah.
state.
That'd be great. Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Okay, at this time, we have community comments and questions. We can discuss anything that was already discussed prior, earlier in the meeting, if anybody has any questions or comments. Yes. Mm-hmm. Of the school.
We are in communication with the township. That is a big concern of ours also. They're trying to work on a separate construction entrance. So that part, but that doesn't help our buses who have to go out of there and turn left, and then those narrow streets as we go right. It was really important for us to get the CHMA exit with the gated fence. So what we're trying to work on is the bus pulls up, the gate will open up, and then you never have to turn left again. You can always go to the right and go out there. But until we get there for 1.5 years, we're going to work with the township. They don't have, they're canvassing the areas, what they say, to see what people feel about it. They get mixed reviews when they do that on that street, but there is no reason they could not block off that area, just like you do for deliveries. No parking between here and here, and it should not affect anybody.
Well, I mean, if you drive down there, honestly, sometimes it looks like it's done for spite. All the driveways are empty and the street's loaded with cars.
Well, when we went over there and walked some of the areas, especially our principal walked some areas. So when Karen Grayson called back, I think she went around with Dave. Some of the people actually told her they leave their cars in the street to slow traffic down as it's coming through there because they're by a school. They, however, don't think about the consequences of a large bus trying to turn left or right because we can still use Colerain Avenue at this moment. So we will work with the township and see what we can do prior to everything being blocked, and here comes the big trucks in about 1.5 months.
Even if they would just give up a couple of the spots to give a little bit of room to turn that bus. Yeah, not
We
the
have that whole
street.
neighborhood at Donata where you're forbidden to park until 9:30 in the morning because Colerain High School was there, and you know,
The township has been very open to our request for that also, on changing the times they could park there, so we could get delivery completely finished and drop off, and then they can go back to parking there. But they've talked about eliminating that at all times. So, for example, if we would start at 8 o'clock, we would ask for a no parking from 7:15 to probably 9:15, a 2-hour span, and then whatever time dismissal is in the afternoon. Part of what will determine all of that is we've really got to look at what busing is going to look like with redistricting and bringing folks from all over. So as we get further into that, the township will be involved with us.
Anyone else? Any comments, questions? Okay. We will go into board members' comments. Chris?
Pam, I really don't have anything to add. It's been an interesting evening. Enjoyed seeing the kids with the robots, and that'll be it.
Michael?
just want to recognize Northwest High School boys basketball team. first place in the conference, and they're really, really having a good year. My son and I have been to a couple games. I think it's the last regular season game this Friday. I think it's the last or close to it. Anyway, they're up at Talawanda. That's going to be a big game. It's okay. Go next week. Okay, that's what I thought. But so, you know, it's been a really fun atmosphere to go to, and hope people come out and support the team.
The Ropot middle schoolers were really impressive. I thought the most impressive thing about the middle schoolers was to ask a middle schooler what their future was going to be, and they all had an answer of what they. You ask people going into college, what are you going to do? And they don't know, but these middle schoolers knew what they were doing. So, yeah, that was neat.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Just real quick, as always, when Pete's here to give us updates, it's always exciting to remind us, although it's cool to go by the schools and see all the different activity outside. So we love when you're here and keep updating us. 2018, August is going to come quicker, and we're very, very excited about it. The kids always do a great job. Look forward to seeing more kids in the future on that. And then it is getting tournament time for all our sports. I know Colerain had a couple swimmers that placed very well in the GMC. So I just want to wish all of our teams and all of our sports and all of our schools good luck as they move forward into districts, regionals, state, etc. And with that, I believe we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I did it too quick. Sorry, Chris. I'm supposed to do that slower, and I always forget. Why she's still typing. No, I'm totally, okay. Okay. Motion passes 5-0. Meeting's adjourned.